The RISKMAKEINPUT function. Observe on the previous tornado graph that the second and fifth lines, for example, belong to activity 4, unit price and quantity respectively. So is the case for activity 3 on the fourth and eighth lines. We want to somehow synthesize or integrate together the two effects, price and quantity, into a single tornado graph bar per activity. It is not the individual effect of price or activity that we want to analyze upon its impact over total cost, but more so the integrated effect per each activity. There's a particular function in @risk that allows for such integration. It is the RISKMAKEINPUT function. 80. Place the cursor on top of cell K3 and click on the Insert Function button of @risk's ribbon. Go to Other Functions, Miscellaneous, RISKMAKEINPUT function. The following Excel window appears. Excel will wrap around the previous multiplication formula with the RISKMAKEINPUT function. When clicking OK, the cell should look like this. Equals RISKMAKEINPUT, open parenthesis, E3 times I3, close parenthesis. 81. Copy and paste this cell down for the whole range K4, K12. This will create artificial or synthetic input variables for each one of the 10 activities. 82. Now run a simulation with 10,000 iterations. The RISKMAKEINPUT formula specifies that the calculated value for formula will be treated as a simulation input, the same way as a distribution function. This function allows the results of Excel calculations or a combination of distribution functions to be treated as a single input in a sensitivity analysis, in other words, in a tornado graph. The distributions that precede or feed into a RISKMAKEINPUT function are not included in a sensitivity analysis of the outputs they impact. In this case, the two respective PERT distributions for price and quantity for each activity are excluded of the tornado chart creation individually. This avoids double counting of their impacts, since only the product of unit price times quantity will be considered an input. 83. Once the simulation has been run, the tornado graph should now look like this. Observe now that none of the activities is repeated on its split unit price times quantity. The fact that each activity bar is now named activity number / total probabilistic demonstrates the fact that @risk is using column K names for each one of the synthetically created input variables. Using these names, on which the text of the same row is combined with the pivotal text of the same column above, is, in this case, a little awkward. @risk provides a way for changing names to cells with the RISKNAME property function. 84. Again, place your cursor on cell K3 and click on the Insert Function button of @risk's ribbon. Then select a property function from the Others function list named RISKNAME. @risk will pop up the following window. 85. Replace the input text for A3 so that the cell's new name will now be whatever text has been defined on cell A3, activity 1. After clicking OK, the cell should now look like this. Equals RISKMAKEINPUT, open parenthesis, E3 times I3, comma, RISKNAME, open parenthesis, A3, close to parenthesis. 86. Copy and paste this cell down for the whole range K4, K12. This will name each one of the previously synthesized input variables with names defined on column A. 87. Also, for each one of the 3 event risks, insert a RISKNAME function right before closing its respective last parenthesis in the function. The 3 cells should now look like this once they have been modified. A. equals RISKMAKEINPUT, open parenthesis, risk Bernoulli, open parenthesis, B16, close parenthesis, times RISKPERT, open parenthesis, G16, comma, F16, comma, H16, close parenthesis, comma, risk name, open parenthesis, A16, close to parenthesis. Notice that this first function requires another RISKMAKEINPUT also, wrapping the multiplication of a binary occurrence, Bernoulli, times its eventual severity, PERT. B equals risk compound, open parenthesis, risk binomial, open parenthesis, C17, comma, B17, close parenthesis, comma, risk PERT, open parenthesis, G17, comma, F17, comma, H17, close parenthesis, comma, risk name, open parenthesis, A17, close to parenthesis. C equals risk compound, open parenthesis, risk Poisson, open parenthesis, D18, close parenthesis, comma, risk PERT, open parenthesis, G18, comma, F18, comma, H18, close parenthesis, comma, risk name, open parenthesis, A18, close to parenthesis. 88. Again, run a simulation with 10,000 iterations. The function input name names the corresponding input distribution. This name will appear in the at-risk model window and in any reports and graphs that include simulation results for the input. The input name must be entered in quotes. Any valid Excel cell references can be used to point to a name. 89. Once the simulation has finished, browse results in order to open again the tornado. Observe that the two errors we mentioned before have been corrected. Spurious variables have been eliminated. Quantities and prices have been integrated together for each activity. Also, proper names have been added to each one of the bars on the tornado chart. We will now turn to properly interpret the results on this tornado and the following ones.